She's live on the Chapman University campus in Orange now to tell us more. Angela?
That's right, Courtney and Prinny. Well, Dr. Alexander Bay and Dr. Vivian Yan Gonzalez are just two of the hundreds of professors nationwide who have had their NEH or research grants terminated by the Trump administration. We talked with both to get their reaction. Now, both professors had received $60,000 worth of grants. The Trump administration now saying that the funding will be, quote, repurposed to further the president's agenda. I'm Angela Jara, live in Orange. Back to you. Caroline, Rosemary, well, I've got a great interview for you here tonight. I'm here with the Democratic nominee for the 47th Congressional District, Dave Min. Dave, I've got to ask you, how are you feeling tonight overall? Yeah, that's right. You've got your own race here tonight. So, Dave, I want you to tell the viewers who maybe aren't that familiar with you and your background. I know you haven't been in politics for very long, right? So what can you specifically, bring to the table as somebody who is relatively new to politics? That's right. And we know that your opponent, Scott Baugh, of course, is in this race with you. What would you say your biggest difference between you and Scott is? What do you bring to the table? Angela Jara here, everybody. I'm going to be going live in front of Fullerton City Hall in a couple of moments. I'll link the live newscast down below. We're going to be talking about anti-camping laws that are specifically targeting the unhoused population here in the city. All right, stay tuned. I'll link it all down below. Hi everybody, Angela Jara here. Just some news out of Santa Ana that I want to come on here and talk about a little bit today. In Santa Ana, nearly 300 teachers are going to be laid off by the end of the school year. Now, Santa Ana Unified School District tells us that the layoff notices could go out as little as next week. And this is all happening, guys, because of surprisingly a drop in student enrollment, as well as a 187 budget shortfall. Now, we reached out to the Orange County Employees Association. They're saying that the school district is going to be laying off teachers, but not administrative positions. So obviously, this is a story that will be affecting a lot of families, a lot of students, a lot of teachers in Santa Ana. Thanks, Kiara and Stephen. Well, the first case of West Nile virus was detected in Orange County about a month ago when a Huntington Beach resident tested positive for the virus. Experts say mid to late summer and now in early fall is when the mosquito season is at its peak and the threat is greatest. Here at OC Vector Control, we learned it's important to take precautions. Thank you, Keston and Maddie. Chief Justice John Roberts and Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett are the two that we're talking about. On many cases before the court, they side with the other four conservative judges. But in a couple of recent high-profile decisions, one or both of them have swung the other way, joining the three liberal-leaning justices, and thus rejecting part of the Trump agenda, or giving the president a very narrow win.
Our Angela Jara is live outside University Student Health Center with the story.
That's right, Stephen and Kiara. This flu season, Chapman University will be providing COVID vaccine boosters and flu shots at their Student Health Center and also at their Rinker Health Science Center in Irvine. These clinics will be the first on campus in 3 years.
Angela Jara. Angie, what do we have from you?
Yeah, Lucas, Lindsay, immediately as we're starting off this first quarter, we are definitely seeing that aggression, especially from the Cal-Lu attackers to that Chapman Key player, number 4, Alyssa Fricker. Now, I had the chance to talk to head coach Placel on the Chapman side. He tells me that Alyssa, once she goes in that water, she's absolutely unstoppable. She's definitely a key player we're going to look out for today, and hoping to see as those quarters progress, will she pick up on that momentum? I can hear her from the bleachers up top that she's already starting to strategize with those teammates. Is that going to carry through into these next 3 quarters? Now to an update on those escaped monkeys in South Carolina. I guess good news, 25 have been found safe. This video was shot Wednesday, shortly after 43 monkeys made a break for it during feeding time. Coming up, we've got much more on Veterans Day, including several businesses. Service members can get great deals today as well to thank them for all of their service.
From campus concerts to national competitions, Chapman's Soundcheck is making a name for themselves in the a cappella world. 3 people in California have been infected with measles as the U.S. continues to see the number of cases grow. Huntington Beach City Council member Tony Strickland is claiming victory in the 36th State Senate District special election here in Orange County. Calling all foodies, Orange County Restaurant Week is here, a chance to sample some of the best dishes from the restaurants all over OC.
Our Angela Jara has more on the story.
Thank you, Courtney and Prinny. This decision comes after a Supreme Court ruling that was issued last summer. The justices struck down on a policy that required cities to provide sheltered beds to those that were unhoused. Now, with that requirement gone, Fullerton is set to crack down on homeless encampments.
At its most recent meeting, the City Council narrowly passed the measure which makes it against the law to sleep on city streets or parks. Fullerton's Mayor Fred Jung says although some people may think it's an extreme measure, an ordinance like this is necessary.
It is not your private home. It is not your private space. It is available to the public just because that is taxpayer-owned land. It is taxpayer money. It should be available for somebody who's 5 years old as well as 55.
Mayor Pro Tem Shana Charles, who strongly opposes the ordinance, says the detainment of the unhoused should be the last resort.
We have to think of the police situation, the police powers as the last resort, not the first opportunity. I really want to emphasize that. They shouldn't be, oh, we arrest somebody first and then figure out what to do with them. It should be, we get them into services.
Samantha Perez, a Fullerton resident, shares her concerns about this ordinance.
I think the community has to help these type of people because they clearly need our help. It's very obvious. Again, a lot of them suffer from mental illnesses. You can't just automatically assume, oh, they have this criminal history, let's arrest them.
For now, Mayor Pro Tem Charles shares that at the end of the day, Fullerton is a community.
The very center of this argument is that these are people. They're people who live here. They stay in Fullerton because Fullerton is a welcoming community, and so as a community, we need to come together to make sure that our most vulnerable neighbors are taken care of.
According to Orange County's point-in-time count, the city of Fullerton had 432 people experiencing homelessness last year. 208 of those were unhoused, meaning they weren't provided a shelter of some sort. Angela Jara reporting live from Fullerton, Chapman News.
Thank you, Keston and Maddie. Chief Justice John Roberts and Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett are the 2 that we're talking about. On many cases before the court, they side with the other 4 conservative judges. But in a couple of recent high-profile decisions, one or both of them have swung the other way, joining the 3 liberal-leaning justices and thus rejecting part of the Trump agenda, or giving the president a very narrow win. For example, a recent 7-2 vote upheld the request to temporarily block the Trump administration from using the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelans to a prison in El Salvador. In this emergency voting decision, both Barrett and Roberts voted with their liberal colleagues. However, this comes after a decision earlier this month when Chief Justice Roberts had formally joined the conservative justices in a close 5-4 win for President Trump. These swing votes are emerging as very critical to the Trump agenda, since many of his most controversial policies are being challenged in the courts, including the mass firing of government workers, orders to freeze funding to universities who don't align with Trump policies, and the elimination of some federal programs. I talked with Professor John Compton, who is the chair of Political Science Department here at Chapman. Dr. Compton says it's important to remember the justices decide cases on legal merit and precedents, not political leanings.
You know, everything these days is very polarized along party lines, and people tend to view the court through a very partisan lens. But, you know, these justices, I think the bulk of them are trying to interpret events given their vision of the Constitution and what the Constitution requires.
President Trump nominated Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Justice Neil Gorsuch to the High Court. Yet Dr. Compton says it cannot be assumed they will always side with the president's policies.
The 3 Trump appointees are, you know, by no means guaranteed to side with the Trump administration. They are not people who are particularly seen as Trump loyalists. if you go back to Trump's first term in office, when he had these 3 Supreme Court vacancies to fill, he really looked to the, Republican establishment, the Federalist Society, these conservative legal groups to fill those seats.
Among the controversial Trump policies the justices are considering, just last week the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to allow a ban that would prevent transgender people from serving in the military. Angela Jara, back to you guys.